Thank you, Mr. Razdan, and thanks, Dr. Garg, for inviting me here for the session. And I would say that this, as you rightly said, this is the hardest session towards the end of the evening of a Friday when people want to go and party, actually, before the weekend. I'm actually representing also Long Duration Energy Storage Council. I had a presentation, but it's fine. Which I think only one person here from Bechtel spoke about long duration energy storage. And when I would limiting the discussion to smart grids or microgrids, I think we have seen enough of the presentation since morning that we are actually going to be integrated. The systems are going to be integrated. It's very difficult to disintegrate EV system from a PV system from a short duration energy storage or a long duration energy storage. So for me, if I have to say what is a smart grid, I would say it's a flexible grid. A grid which is flexible enough to deliver net zero with the 24/7 renewable energy. For that, you need to have artificial intelligence. For that, you need to have data analytics. For that, you need to have systems and energy management system so that the grids work in tandem and there is no difference between demand and supply. I have spoken a lot in 2-3 sentences, and what we have to understand that there is enough understanding here that energy storage is needed to do net zero, and renewable integration cannot happen without it. It doesn't change for a microgrid. It doesn't change for a big grid. What happens is that a microgrid, being a smaller one, becomes easier to manage. There have been microgrids in certain islands in Portugal, in Caribbean, which have run on 80% or 90% renewable energy without any fossil fuels. And we need to have the same on the bigger grids. But that's not going to happen without even long duration energy storage, where we are talking about storage going more than 10 hours, 12 hours, even 100 hours. Essentially, replacing the capacity which otherwise would have been supplied by fossil fuel. And there has been enough. It's a new field. Actually, long duration concept was launched in COP26. And so it's a very new awareness that we have to create. And as I said, there was only one person who spoke about it, where it is important that when you not only want to store solar or wind, you want to deliver that solar and wind not for 10 hours or 12 hours. You want to deliver that for 24 hours. India has gone very ahead in terms of round-the-clock power, but still it does not actually measure that for every hour of generation or consumption, the generation is by renewable energy. And for that, the grid needs to be smart. You need to have measurements, you need to have, and there is a lot of I remember one statement made during the session today, what can be measured can be financed. And which conversely means that something that cannot be measured does not get financing, which means that if we have problems on the grid for which we don't measure, it means that those problems don't exist, but that's not the reality. When we are removing the rotating mass from the grid, we are going to have problems. We are going to have lack of inertia, lack of reactive power, lack of voltage support. But because these services, spinning reserve, because these services were provided free and are still being provided free of charge, because we still have coal power plants and in India, and then we do have some gas turbine power plants, that there is no analysis yet done that if this is removed from the grid, will our grid sustain? So a smart grid needs to be sustainable, it needs to be resilient, it needs to have energy security, and it needs to be flexible. So that would be a smart grid. And for that, you need to have different kinds of automation. Thank you.